Okay, welcome back to part 2 of this series where we animate this agency kind of landing page. And in the last video, we did the loader. So everything in the loader is finished now. So the only thing remaining is making this transition from the loader to the hero here smoother. So I'm first just going to show you the thought process behind it, because the way we're going to do it is we're going to hide everything initially and then reveal it. And also, if you see the black progress bar at the bottom, we want to use that to continue the animation. So you see on the next screen here, I already set this up. I'm going to explain later. We have this black bar. So I can quickly show you here in Figma. So if I make a new screen here, what are we gonna do? Like, if we didn't do this, so because the black bar is going across, what will happen once the hero loads? If we didn't replicate this in the hero, so have this element here as well, it would just instantly go from this screen to this screen. And then like the black bar at the bottom would just like disappear, which obviously doesn't look nice. So what I did was, if we go in the loader, I set the opacity here to 0.5. Yeah. So that moves across, and I literally replicated that by just having this here and then having this here as well. And instead of doing background color black, I did it for red, and just checking that these match. So what that means is once the loader is finished, the initial state of the hero, at least at the bottom here, looks the same as the progress bar in the loader. So that's the first thing we need to just set up. And then let's start hiding some of the elements that we're going to animate. So in the global CSS, I have a data hidden with just opacity 0. So we're going to add that to a couple of the elements here in the hero. So what we want to hide is these words here, the top navigation. So let me see. Yeah, here. So data hidden. Then we just add that to all the elements, to this one and this one. And the way I target these is in the H1, I just have some spans in the line in the middle, which we also need to, we don't want to hide it, but we want to scale it so it starts from the center. So let's do that as well. That is hero line. Yeah, so already have this here. So that will just scale it down to 0 from the middle, because we have transform origin. So yeah. And then the last thing we need to hide is just the image. So data hidden here. And yeah, this is essentially the screen that we want to have. So if we just check it out now, if we load it again, you see now it changed to the hero, but since we matched the initial state of the last state of the loader with the first state of the hero, you don't get that flicker or anything. So let's get into animating the hero. So what we'll start with, just like the last video, is creating an animation file here, animations.js. And the first thing we can do is animating the title in. So we need GSAP here. And then we're going to create a function called animate title. And create a timeline. And then return it. And what do we want to happen? So we want it to, when this scales down to the middle, and it's literally just like no line here, we want this line to scale out from the center, and then these need to kind of start from here, and then we need to kind of match the line and the letter, the words, to look like they're one animation, even though they're 3 individual parts. So let's try here. So also one tip that I can give you is inside your timelines, we can set up some defaults. And I know for the timing of this title, we can have defaults, and the ease can be expo.out, and the duration can be 2. By saying that, we don't have to specify these 2 properties every time we do like a TL.2. So the first thing we're going to do is animating the line. So in the markup, we have all these data attributes. And you can target these by in GSAP by having it in square brackets. This is just CSS target. So data hero line, which is now at scale x of 0. So if we do scale x to 1, and then we also import this in here. So from animations. And then here we also need to set up a master timeline. So we're going to import GSAP here as well. And then inside here, we're going to set up a timeline. And we're going to set that equal to ref. That's for React to keep track of this. And inside, we're going to initialize a GSAP timeline. And then we're going to create the use effect. And that can just be empty, so it runs on load. And just like in our page, we created a context. So with the hero, we don't want to add it to the page timeline like we have here, because we want to have the onComplete to trigger the switching between the 2 components. So the hero itself has like its own timeline that doesn't really care about anything else, and this will run once it is rendered. So we're going to set that up here. So we're going to do const context and set that equals to gsap.context. And inside here, we can just say that TL equals timeline.current. which references this timeline. And then we can say just tl.add animate title, just like we did in the page, but now it's in this context. So just living inside a hero. And lastly, we can return context.revert. So this is just cleaning up the animation code for React. Okay, so we have our line here. Nice. So you see it looks like it's seamless now, which is exactly what we want. And yeah, I think it's really powerful when you start thinking like an animator and not just thinking, okay, this element can be faded up, or just thinking isolated cases. Think of the full context. Okay, going from this, then this can happen. Doing that will make your animations look way better. And the last thing that we're going to do here in this file is one very nice thing you can do with the GSAP context inside React or like frameworks is if we set up a ref here, so const hero ref, and we set that to the main section wrapper like that. Any animation inside, first we have to set this here as the last argument. Anything inside the context now, you can reference things with like GSAP.to. Then you can say this directly. You don't need a ref to target this. Like otherwise we would have to say ref about ref contact and set up everything we need with refs. Instead, you can pass one ref, which is the wrapper, and then you can select anything inside with just normal classes or anything. In our case, we're going to use the data items. One last thing as well is this data hidden should actually be on these data menu item ones. So let's put them here. It's the same thing, but we're going to do a stagger for these. So it's going to look a little bit nicer. But okay, we have our line, so let's continue. The next thing we're going to do is animating the words here. So making that a part of the animation here. So we're going to start chaining here. So 2. And then the first title word is called data title first. That is the left one, the ultra, and then agency is the last. So the first letter, we're actually going to have a from to. So we're going to animate from and then to something. Where do we want to start from? We want to start from x of 100. So that means it's now moving the title 100 pixels to the right. And also going to do auto alpha 0. Even though it is hidden by default, by adding it to GSAP, GSAP can be more precise, and especially with transforms, you have to set them in GSAP first, or tell GSAP where you're going from, essentially. Okay, so going from, and then we want to just go to x of 0 and auto alpha 1. So let's take a look at that. Nice. And what we want to do is match this up with the line. So for now, I'm just gonna comment this out again. You can just refresh. So you see now what's happening is the animation runs one after the other. So this line finishes first and then this happens. We want these to overlap. We want the line to look like it's pushing the word out. So the last parameter inside a to or from is called the position parameter. And here you can specify how should we position this relative to the twos, or like the timeline or the animations rather, that's around this one. So if we put in strings here and we say, I want this to happen at 15% before this is finished. Yeah, it just looks like it's part of the same animation. And we're going to do that for the last one as well. So another 2. Data title last. And that's going to have the exact same thing, just a minus here instead, because we wanted to move from, or we wanted to start this way and go out like that. So this should also be a from 2, and then 2, the same thing. And then the last thing we want to do is have this to happen at the same time as this one. And we can use the position parameter again. So just saying this, this just means start at the same time as the last one. So this one. It won't start at the same time as this, but it'll start at the same time as the one that comes before. Nice. So now it looks like it's just one animation, which is exactly what we want. Cool. So we have the title now. And now we can focus on the image. So what we'll do is we'll create a new or export a new one. So let's say animate image. And the same thing, const tl equals gsap.timeline, return timeline. And in this one, we're also going to have some defaults. So the same expo.out, but the duration is going to be 1.5 here. So these durations and asyncs are something you have to just tweak around, and the more you use them, the more you understand how they look and how they feel and how they connect one animation to another and stuff like that. Okay, so we'll do TL2 and then data image overlay, which is the black bar that I talked about in the beginning. So what we want to do is scale Y to 1. So let's first add this to our timeline. So yeah, it started here. If you see the CSS, this was just a number I tweaked until it matched the last position of the progress bar of the loader. So now I also matched it up. So it matches the same height as the image. So we're going to use this as like revealing the image. So if we go back, we're going to do a from, and then we're going to target the actual image. We're going to say y% of 100. And that is going to start at the same time. So what we're doing now is saying start the image from 100% down from its original position because it's only opacity 0. So the image is here by default. Now we just pushed it down. So it's literally outside of the screen, and we want to move it up again. Because we have this black bar now, we're going to like do them at the same time and kind of reveal the image as we move it up. So to do that, we have the from, and then what we're going to do is say .to. And then again, the data image overlay. We're going to do scale y of 0. And then we have to set the transform origin to top center because we want it to move up like that. So now we have everything here. The last thing we need is to actually reveal the image and move it up. So that's the last thing we're going to do. And we're going to do a .from. Then we're going to target the image. And this has a duration of 2 seconds. We're going to do from scale 1.3. So it's going to zoom out as well as it's going up. And setting this to start at the same time. This has a duration of 1.5 from the defaults. So the image happens a little bit slower. Nice. So now we have the image and the title. The last thing we're going to do is just revealing the menu. So we're going to do export const, reveal menu. Do the same thing. Const TL equals GSAP timeline, return TL. And then we're going to do a TL from 2. And we're going to target the data menu item that we set up. And we want them to start from auto alpha of 0, even though they are hidden by default. I always want to set it in GSAP so GSAP knows exactly what we're doing. And I want to just move them down by 32 pixels. And then in R2, we're going to say auto alpha of 1. So go to opacity 1. Y is going to go up again to 0, which is the initial state. We're going to have a stagger. So a stagger means it happens one at a time. So this comes in, this comes in, this comes in. And we want it to happen with a delay between each of 0.2 seconds. And then ease of expo.out. And the duration for these can be 2 seconds. So let's import that as well here. And add it to the timeline. Cool. The last thing we just need to do is in this timeline, we can say for the last position parameter, we want both of these to start at the same time. So all these happen at the same time now. So putting it all together, we can take a look. If we go back to the page and remove just the loader. And there we have it. That's the animation. I hope you got some useful tips from these two videos. I think this is a really great technique and a really easy way to know exactly when things are happening. And also talking about cleaning up your animation code, which is really important. And yeah, setting up some timelines that you can share between components. And that's it for this series. We're gonna make a lot more cool stuff going forward. So please subscribe and like if you enjoy content like this. I would highly appreciate it. And if you have any questions or any suggestions, feel free to let me know or send me a message. Yeah, that is it. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.